Listen carefully, because this is going to sting. When a woman's done with you, she doesn't pack her bags and slam the door, like in the movies. No dramatic scene, no tearful confession. She starts playing games you'll swear aren't games at all. She'll smile at dinner while mentally drafting her exit strategy. She'll laugh at your jokes while calculating how many months until she can leave without looking like the villain. You think you'd notice the shift, but you won't, not until it's far too late. If you value truth over comfortable lies, hit that like and hype buttons immediately. Subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I want to know where my strongest, most aware men are tuning in tonight. I've watched this play out hundreds of times. Smart, successful men in their 40s and 50s, guys who run companies and negotiate million-dollar deals, completely blindsided when she finally walks away. They sit in my office, confused, asking the same question: how did I miss it? The answer: because these 5 games are designed to be invisible. Their psychological sleight of hand, emotional misdirection, perfected over weeks or months of careful planning. You think she leaves suddenly. She doesn't. She fades strategically, methodically, like someone slowly turning down the volume on a song you love, until one day you realize you can't hear the music anymore. And by then, she's already moved on emotionally, mentally, sometimes even physically. The relationship you think you're fighting to save, she buried it months ago. I'm going to show you the 5 games women play when they've mentally checked out but haven't physically left yet. These aren't evil tactics or cruel manipulations. They're survival strategies, guilt management techniques, exit plans wrapped in everyday behavior. Even the smartest men miss them because they look like normal life. They look like stress, like work pressure, like temporary distance. But they're not temporary. They're permanent decisions disguised as passing phases. The first game is so quiet, most men never even realize it's already started. Game 1. The disappearing investment. She's still there, still sleeping in your bed, showing up at family dinners, replying to your texts. But something feels off, like talking through glass. She's present but gone, and you can't explain why everything feels so hollow. This is the disappearing investment, the first move in her quiet exit. She doesn't announce it, she just starts pulling back in ways that seem reasonable. Work suddenly gets busier. Her phone is always in her hand, but she's never really available. Conversations shrink to logistics. Did you get milk? What time's dinner? Working late again? Her replies slow down. 4 hours, then 8, then crazy day at work. You used to get random thoughts. Now it's just schedules and errands. You send a meme, get a thumbs up hours later. She's not trying to hurt you. She's trying not to feel. It's clever because every excuse sounds valid. Deadlines, bosses, projects. All true, but also cover. She's using real life to quietly uninstall you from hers. And she might not even know she's doing it. Her mind is creating distance before the break. You'll notice small shifts. A coworker, let's call him David, starts appearing in stories more often. David said something funny. Lunch with David, we were fixing the budget. Harmless on paper, but he's getting her laughter now. You get what's left, exhaustion and silence. You see her smile at messages that aren't from you. What's funny, you ask? Oh, just something from work. Phone down. Distance maintained. When you finally bring it up, she says you're paranoid. She's not being cruel. She's protecting her exit. This phase can last weeks or months. She's quietly detaching while you're still trying to understand what's wrong. You're not imagining it. She's already gone. She just hasn't left yet. Game 2. The reversed mirror. You ask, hey, who are you texting? Just curious. But 30 seconds later, you're the one apologizing. Welcome to the reversed mirror, where every concern you raise gets flipped into proof of your flaws. She's done, but not ready to be the bad guy. So instead of admitting she's checked out, she blames your paranoia, your insecurity, your control issues. You notice distance. She calls it you being needy. You ask questions. She says you're suffocating her. It's psychological judo. Your valid worries turned into her defense. The more you try to understand, the more she twists it. This is why I need space. Suddenly you're apologizing for wanting honesty. Meanwhile, she's been rehearsing her story. Telling friends, her sister, maybe some guy from the gym how clingy you've become. So when she leaves, everyone already believes she's escaping your issues, not her own. This is projection disguised as self-defense. She transfers her guilt onto you, recasts her withdrawal as your flaw, and keeps her conscience clean. You're left doubting yourself, apologizing for things you didn't do, while the real issue, her emotional absence, goes unspoken. The next move? She'll make you thank her for leaving. Game 3. The sweet exit. After weeks of distance and tension, something changes. Suddenly, she's nice again. Not like before, not with genuine warmth, but with calculated kindness that catches you off guard. She texts, "Just checking in, hope your meeting went well." She leaves a note on the counter. "Picked up your favorite coffee." She initiates a conversation that isn't about logistics. Finally, you think, finally we're getting back to normal. You're not getting back to normal. You're watching her practice her exit. This is the sweet exit, and it's one of the most confusing games because it feels like progress. After all that coldness and deflection, this feels like she's trying. Like maybe she realized what she was doing and she's course-correcting. She's not. She's managing her own guilt by sprinkling in just enough kindness to prove to herself she's not a monster. Think about it from her perspective. She knows she's leaving. She's mentally already gone. But she's not heartless. She did love you once, and she doesn't want to feel like a villain. So she performs small acts of care, not because she's invested in the relationship anymore, but because it helps her sleep at night. "I tried," she'll tell her friends later. "I was still nice even at the end." These gestures have a pattern. They're surface level, low effort, and perfectly Instagrammable. A sweet text, a small gift, a moment of physical affection that feels slightly off but technically counts. She'll compliment you in front of others. "He's so good at fixing things." She'll post an old photo of you two with a nostalgic caption. None of it requires actual emotional vulnerability or reconnection. All of it creates the appearance of trying. Watch what she does at social events. Suddenly, she's affectionate in public again, touching your arm, laughing at your stories, playing the happy couple. But the second you're alone in the car afterward, the warmth disappears like steam off a mirror. That's not intimacy, that's performance. She's maintaining her reputation as the woman who really tried before everything fell apart. Sometimes, this phase includes what I call closure crumbs. Tiny pieces of pseudo-vulnerability designed to seem like emotional progress. She might say something like, "I know I've been distant lately, I'm sorry," without actually changing any behavior. Or she'll have one deep conversation where she admits she's been stressed and needs to do better, and then goes right back to emotional absence the next day. This game is particularly devastating for men who are desperate to save the relationship because it feels like a crack in the wall, a sign that she still cares. You double down on your efforts. You're more attentive, more appreciative, more available. You think you're meeting her halfway, but she's not meeting you anywhere. She's easing her own conscience before she leaves. I've watched men misread these signals catastrophically. They think the relationship is healing when actually they're watching her say goodbye in slow motion. She's not being sweet because she loves you. She's being sweet because it helps her feel like she did everything possible before she gave up. These aren't acts of love, they're acts of self-absolution. Don't confuse closure crumbs for care. Real reconnection involves vulnerability, difficult conversations, changed patterns of behavior. This is none of those things. This is kindness theater, performed for an audience of her own guilt. But when kindness fails to fool you, or more likely, when she's given herself enough proof that she tried, she moves to her most lethal weapon, strategic comparison. Game 4, the comparison hook. You're having dinner. Everything's relatively calm. Then, out of nowhere, she says something like, "You know, Gregory from my office has such a disciplined morning routine. Up at 5 every day, runs 6 miles before work." You nod. Seems like a random observation, but it's not random at all. Welcome to the comparison hook, where she starts planting other men in your consciousness like landmines, waiting for you to step on them. This isn't about making you jealous. It's about making you feel insufficient, about highlighting everything she's decided is wrong with you by showcasing everything that's right about someone else. The names start appearing more frequently. Gregory and his morning routine while you're still in bed at 7. Thomas from her book club who really listens when people talk. Her friend's husband Eric, who plans the most thoughtful date nights. Each name is attached to a virtue you supposedly lack. Each compliment of another man is an implicit criticism of you. She doesn't say, "You're lazy," or "You don't listen," or "You're not romantic anymore." That would be direct, honest, confrontable. Instead, she praises other men for qualities she wishes you had and lets you connect the dots yourself. It's psychological warfare disguised as casual conversation, and it works because you can't really object without sounding insecure. If you respond with, "Why are you talking about Gregory so much?" she'll say, "I was just making conversation. Why are you threatened by my coworker?" If you point out that she's praising other men constantly, she'll accuse you of being jealous and controlling. The game is rigged. She gets to make you feel small while positioning herself as the reasonable one, just trying to have normal discussions. Here's what's really happening. She's already comparing you to a fantasy version of a man she thinks she deserves. Whether that fantasy is Gregory or Thomas, or some composite of every male she interacts with, doesn't matter. What matters is that you've become the before picture in the transformation story she's writing in her head. She'll start noticing and commenting on qualities in random men that she never cared about before. That guy at the grocery store was so polite. The barista remembered my order. That's real attention to detail. Her boyfriend surprised her with flowers just because, no special occasion. Every observation is a small indictment of you. The comparison trap is especially brutal because it creates a no-win situation. If you try to compete with these men by suddenly running at 5 a.m. or planning elaborate dates, she'll see it as desperate and inauthentic. If you ignore the comparisons, she'll use your indifference as further proof that you don't care about improving yourself. You can't win because the game isn't about actually becoming better. It's about her justifying why she needs someone different. Sometimes she'll compare you to your past self. You used to plan surprises. You used to care about your appearance. You used to make me laugh. These are particularly cruel because they're harder to defend against. She's right. Maybe you have become more comfortable, more settled, more yourself. But she's reframing normal relationship evolution as your personal failure. The really sinister part of this game is that it works on your subconscious. Even if you rationally know she's being unfair, those comparisons lodge in your brain. You start seeing yourself through her critical lens. Start questioning if you really are good enough, interesting enough, ambitious enough. She's not just leaving the relationship, she's leaving you doubting yourself. But even the comparisons have an expiration date. When she's truly done, she doesn't need to mention other men anymore. She doesn't need to plant seeds of doubt or highlight your inadequacies. She moves into the final, coldest phase where she doesn't criticize you at all. She rewrites the entire story. Game 5, the reputation rewrite. This is the end game, the final play before she walks away. She doesn't argue with you anymore, doesn't compare you to other men, doesn't even seem that upset. Instead, she starts crafting a new narrative about your relationship, one where leaving becomes inevitable, natural, maybe even noble. You'll hear her say things like, "We've just grown apart to friends. Not, he did something wrong, or I'm unhappy. Nothing that makes her the bad guy. Just the passive, blameless, grown apart, like it's erosion or weather, something that happened to both of you equally. Natural forces. Nobody's fault. But pay attention to the subtle work happening beneath that neutral language. She's rewriting history to friends, family, maybe even on social media. Old stories get reframed. Remember that trip to Colorado where you both got food poisoning and laughed about it for years? Now, when she tells the story, she emphasizes how stressful it was, how you handled it poorly. That time you supported her through her father's illness. She remembers feeling alone through it. The memories that sustained your relationship for years are being quietly edited, reshaded, recontextualized. This is the reputation rewrite, and it's the most strategic game of all, because by the time she leaves, everyone already understands why. They've been getting the revised version of your relationship for weeks or months. They've heard about all the ways you disappointed her, all the compromises she made, all the ways she tried before accepting defeat. You're the last to know the story's been rewritten, but everyone else already read the new version. She starts making cryptic posts online. Nothing directly about you, but clearly about you. Sometimes letting go is the bravest thing you can do. Growth means recognizing when something isn't serving you anymore. Her friends comment with heart emojis and "so proud of you," and you're sitting there wondering what exactly she's letting go of, what exactly isn't serving her. She confides in mutual friends in carefully calculated ways, not dumping or bad-mouthing. That would make her look petty. Instead, she's vulnerable and sad. I don't think we want the same things anymore. I've tried so hard, but I can't do this alone. She's positioning herself as the exhausted partner who gave everything before accepting the relationship was terminal. Meanwhile, you're being painted as the unchanging obstacle, the reason things couldn't work. Watch who she talks to and how strategically she chooses her confidants. She tells your sister that she's tried everything. She mentions to your best friend's wife that she feels disconnected. She ensures that the people who would normally be your support system have already heard her side, her version, her narrative. When the breakup happens, they'll nod sympathetically at her, not at you. The workplace becomes another theater for the rewrite. Suddenly her colleagues know she's going through something at home. They've been hearing about relationship struggles, though you didn't know there were struggles to hear about. She's building her support network while dismantling yours, ensuring that when she leaves, she doesn't lose friends or social standing. This game is particularly effective because it's gradual and social. She's not fighting with you. She's having sad, reluctant conversations with everyone around you. By the time you realize what's happening, the new version of your relationship is already the accepted truth. You're not the guy she fell in love with anymore. You're the guy she outgrew, the relationship that ran its course, the situation she tried so hard to save. Here's what makes this final game so devastating. There's almost no defense against it. If you try to correct the narrative, you look defensive and controlling. If you tell your side, you look like you're attacking her. If you do nothing, her version becomes the official record. She's not just leaving you, she's rewriting your shared history so that leaving makes sense, feels right, becomes the inevitable conclusion everyone saw coming. The cruelest part isn't even the rewriting itself. It's that, by the time you notice she's changed the story, she's already turned the page. You're still living in the relationship you remember, while she's already living in the breakup she constructed. The gap between your realities becomes so wide that there's no bridging it, and that gap is what she was building all along. The final truth. Now you know the 5 games. But here's what you didn't see while you were learning them. These aren't signs of evil. They're not proof that women are manipulative monsters. They're signs of detachment, self-protection, and the complicated psychology of leaving someone you once loved. When love turns to strategy, the relationship's already over. Not when she announces it, not when she moves out, But the moment she starts playing these games, that's when she made her decision. Everything after that is just logistics and guilt management. Most men catch on somewhere around game 3 or 4. They feel something's wrong, but can't articulate what. They try harder, love louder, fix more. But you can't fix what's already been decided. You can't save a relationship where the other person has emotionally left but physically stayed. You're fighting for something that already ended. You just haven't seen the body yet. The cruelest part, she doesn't hate you, she just stopped needing to lie. To you, to herself, about wanting to stay. Once someone crosses that line from staying because they want to into staying because they feel they should, these games become inevitable. They're not chosen consciously most of the time. They're protective mechanisms, exit strategies that unfold naturally when someone's checking out. If you're reading this and recognizing your own relationship in these patterns, I'm sorry. That recognition is painful, but it's also a gift because now you can stop fighting ghosts. Stop trying to win games you didn't know you were playing. Stop letting someone rewrite your worth while claiming they're still trying. You deserved the truth earlier. You deserved honest conversations instead of psychological sleight of hand. But she couldn't give you that. Maybe because she didn't fully understand what she was doing. Maybe because the guilt was too heavy. Maybe because she never learned how to leave with integrity. The why doesn't matter as much as the what, and what's happening is clear. These games don't make her evil. They make her human, scared, guilty, and gone. Understanding that doesn't make it hurt less, but it might help you stop blaming yourself for missing signs that were designed to be missed. Nobody wins these games. She gets to leave, but has to live with how she did it. You get the truth, but after the damage is done. The only real winning move, recognizing the games early, trusting your gut when something feels off, being willing to have the hard conversation before months of strategy and distance make honest communication impossible. And knowing that when someone wants out badly enough to start playing these games, saving the relationship probably isn't possible, but saving your dignity and sanity still is.